Why have 10 million men given up on work, though? That's a good question. I like an answer to it. We should learn. Why have 10 million men? Let's learn.
4 years ago, America and the rest of the world saw its most intense spike in unemployment in recorded history. In today's news cycle, that is ancient history. But what isn't ignored is what has been left behind. There are now over 10 million people, mostly men in America, who are not working, not studying, not retired, and not—
Oh, what do they call this? I just call them losers, but you got to do something, right? You got to do something. I understand maybe not working. You got to do something, even a fucking hobby. Let's go. Come on. NEET. Yeah, that's right. NEET. N-E-E-T.
institutionalized. They are just doing nothing. COVID accelerated this trend, but it's been going on for decades. Since the 1960s, about 0.1% of American men have given up on work to never come back every single month. So why are so many people giving up so consistently? And more importantly, how are these
No education, no employment, no training. Exactly.
people surviving without a job in this economy?
In October, Mississippi's labor force participation rate was nearly 54%, while the national rate was over 62%.
How many jobs on these two websites?
How are they affording things? Because we certainly shouldn't be supporting them if they're choosing to do nothing, right? They're watching Jinxie play Clash of Clan. Should I play some Clash of Clan on stream?
It's been over 1,000 combined.
They're not working and they're not looking for a job, and those are the folks who we have to get into the labor
Redditors. Yes, that is true.
market.
Why aren't some Americans getting back to work? It's the million-dollar question.
There are a lot of reasons why someone might not participate in the labor force. They might have retired, they might be still studying for qualifications, there might be people who are too sick to work, stay-at-home spouses, members of the military who are clearly working but don't officially count as part of the labor force, and then of course there are just really rich people who don't need to work to maintain their lifestyle.
Oh, fuck, I wish, man. I'll be there someday.
These groups have always existed, but there is a new group growing alongside them, which are people who have just given up. The fastest growing group of these labor force dropouts have been men between the ages of 25 and 55. Men in this age range would typically be in the prime of their careers, but more and more of them are not working at all.
Which, okay, here's an opinion. Fine. I don't give a fuck what you do. Live your life. But we should 100% in every way possible not support them. At all. Doomers. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, some of this can simply be explained by the fact that more women have entered the workforce. In fact, up until 2008, women were entering the workforce almost as quickly as men were leaving it. Some men just took on domestic roles as stay-at-home husbands while their wives or partners focus on their careers instead. According to Pew Research, young women are now earning significantly more than young men in most major cities in America. Young women are also graduating college at higher rates than men. So it makes sense that a growing group of men are tossing aside typical gender roles and doing work that doesn't get counted as typical employment.
Which is fine. I mean, it's fine. If that's what they're choosing and they can afford it and we don't all have to support them as a society, I'm chilling. With Battlefield 6 coming, I get it. True.
If this were the whole story, there would be
Just
absolutely nothing wrong with this. But let's be honest. Having a stay-at-home parent, no matter what gender they are, is a luxury that most people simply cannot afford in the modern age, especially young people who are the fastest growing group of labor force dropouts. There is something more going on here. Nicholas Eberstadt is a political economist who published the book Men Without Work, which tracked the trend of working-age men simply giving up on work and largely removing themselves from society in the process. His book, which was first published in 2016, lines up perfectly with a 2022 study on the issue conducted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, which found that men without a college degree in particular were dropping out of work because their earnings power was significantly lower than their peers who did have a 4-year degree.
Yeah, but you just stop? You just give up? I don't know. Bro, I'd be done with all chores with lunch ready by 12 and then just goon all day playing Battlefield 6. True.
That's not unusual, because college-educated people should expect to earn more than non-college educated workers on average.
Yeah, usually twice the lifetime earnings, right? Isn't that the statistic?
But the finding found that the gap between the two groups had widened significantly, especially amongst college-educated versus non-college educated men.
Well, since this video came out a little bit ago, what we saw just a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago now, is that men graduating with a 4-year degree now have the same unemployment rate as men that do not have any degree. It's kind of crazy. Can't get a job, can't get a wife, young men are fucked. You just got to stop being pussies. Got to get out there and do the cold approach. Not for jobs. That's boomer and handshake method. Doesn't really work. But for getting a wife, you can go try. You might get canceled online. Might be called a creep. You might get embarrassed. But you also might get a wife. Yeah, I don't know.
Now, this was particularly surprising to the researchers because it would actually make more sense that higher income workers would drop out of the labor
Just
force.
Get a husband.
Because if
there it is. There's your double earning potential right there.
they are earning a lot of money, they have a better chance of marrying a higher earning spouse or just saving up more money for an early retirement. Instead, they found the opposite. The group that earned less were more likely to drop out of work. And yes, before you ask, the study did account
transition and get hired immediately. Post-college degree. No, the real reason most likely is because men heavily go towards tech. Tech is the second highest laid off sector this year so far. Not really hiring, shifting dramatically to the AI focus world of things. And women heavily are more in recession resistant industries and service and in healthcare. So yeah. But transition, all right, guys.
For the fact that people not working won't be making an income, so they would automatically be in the non-working low-income group. Now, since men are now overrepresented in non-college graduates, they were the largest group of people giving up on work.
Yeah, men go heavily to trades as well. That is true. 10 million B-roll actors. Yeah. Cold approach can work on job sites. I guess if you're standing in front of a Home Depot, as long as the unmarked van doesn't pull up. Fuck.
But even though it's tempting to make this an entirely gender-specific issue, and to be honest, it would make for a more engaging YouTube video, there are some bigger forces at play here. The reason that people with lower incomes were dropping out was simply because they had less to lose and more to gain. Most unskilled jobs cannot buy you a comfortable lifestyle basically anywhere in America anymore. And as more people tie their identity and social...
What was that? Empirical model takes into account that a job not only provides economic security, but also affirms a worker's social status, which is tied to their position. I don't know if I fully agree that a job is unlivable now. Just like as a straight up, just flat statement, that's a little hard. A&P mechanics are making $45 an hour, more than some engineers. Sounds crazy. But the thing is, there's a gold rush to every job, right? So if everyone gold rushed to that job, the pay wouldn't go as high. Does he read YouTube chat? That's literally what I'm doing right now, big guy. Big guy, silly goose guy.
Social status to their work and income, it's become much harder to accept unglamorous service positions. If you were given two options, honestly consider which one you would choose. You could scrape by working a few minimum wage jobs where you are on your feet dealing with customers and managers all day.
Sure.
A job where you are unlikely to advance too far without a degree, and you won't have much time or energy left at the end of the day to pursue side projects. You might also be working a job that you aren't exactly proud to share with your friends, family, or romantic interests.
I guess.
The other option is that you could scrape by on whatever government programs or family support you could find.
Yeah, they better not get any if they're just choosing not to do anything, though. Job, education, or training, cut, bye-bye. Unless obviously you're disabled and you just straight up can't do anything, then that's certainly, something different.
Maybe work on some side projects in your spare time, or just fill your day with low-cost recreation like playing video games. I would like to think I appreciate the value of a hard day's work, but I have always had the luxury of a prestigious career and successful business. Given these specific options, how would you choose to spend your day? If you are brave enough, go ahead and share it in the comments below.
Fine, I will. Gooning. Got it. Let me guess. You're just using an investing app that doesn't invest in you. It is time to change that. Right now, Webull is offering up to a 3.5% match when you open an IRA with them. That is real money going into your retirement, not just points or coupons. And that's just the start. Deposit $100 and you get 30 days of Webull Premium. Anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 sitting around in your account, move it to Webull and get $200 in cash. And if you worked your way up to $5 million, that's $30,000 in your account just for moving it over. It is not just about the perks though. Webull provides the tools that serious investors want as well. TradingView integration, real-time data, zero commission trades. It actually works on all your devices. And now through September 30th, you can stack even more. Get a $100 cash bonus for a $2,000 deposit, plus a 2% cash back on all deposits, and a 30-day premium voucher, and a 4% APY booster on any uninvested cash. It doesn't get better than this, so stop overpaying for a platform that gives you nothing back and make the switch to Webull. Go to Webull.com/K/Caleb or hit the QR code or the link below. Let's get back to the show.
People on the internet can call you a bootlicker or a lazy zoomer respectively. Now, the second option also has the advantage that if someone asks you what you do for work, you can just tell them that you are working on a new business or taking some time off. The Fed study found
everyone's an entrepreneur.
That this was one of the biggest reasons people didn't want to take on jobs that they thought were beneath them. Now, no matter what side of the fence you are on, this issue affects us all. These millions of people are out of work at the same time as we have major issues with worker shortages in our most important industries. And this
when will we have Skrelly on? I don't think he's able to leave the state of New York. But I guess if I move to New York City, I can. Right? Sounds like my cousin and his 40K obsession and only does Grubhub because rent is free. Yeah, that dude's never really going to get anywhere, right? Disabled or veteran disabled? Yeah. Well, no, there are legitimate, obviously, we should qualify in that joke that there are veterans with legitimate disabilities. But there's obviously abuse like there is in any system. Doesn't mean we shouldn't call them out because we don't have sacred cows in this country.
Trend is only going to get worse unless something changes. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how these people are surviving without work and what it means for the rest of the workforce if they never come back. This week's video is sponsored by Brilliant.
Please say you're not moving to NY. Why not? What's wrong with NY? What if I want to be able to walk to coffee, walk to groceries, walk to the theater, walk to the park? What if I want to do that instead of a suburb and fucking get in a car stuck in traffic all day, every day? Fuck! I know the taxes are going to suck though in the winter. Not thrilled. Well, I don't know.
20% off your annual premium subscription. Apart from a few
crime's pretty decent in it's not Chicago, it's not San Francisco. Taxes, that is a valid one.
Early retirees
live in Austin, everything is walking distance. If you live specifically downtown or in Mueller or maybe East Side, for 90% of Austin, that is objectively incorrect.
That made a lot of money at a young age, most of the people who are not working and are not looking for work are living extremely basic lives. Eberstadt's research went beyond the broader demographic studies and focused a lot on trying to figure out what these people were actually doing with their time. Now, the next few minutes are going to contain some hard-to-swallow pills. Even though Eberstadt is sometimes a bit direct with the way he lays out the facts, his research and his recommendations address some of the most important issues in our society. He found through national surveys that the average man not in work or looking for work was basically doing what you might expect. They were sitting at home, spending a majority of time behind a screen. Most of them contribute very little to looking after other members of a household, and they were underrepresented in other civic activities like volunteering, even though they had more free time than their peers.
Yeah, now for food stamps, one of the heavy requirements is you gotta at least be volunteering at a minimum.
Who worked or studied. He also poked holes in the idea that a lot of these men had just become stay-at-home spouses taking care of chores to support their working partner.
There we go. I mean, that's fine, right? I mean, that's fine. If the household can afford it, it's fine as long as we are not supporting it as a taxpayer because they're choosing it, you know?
Partner, a role that was in the past typically performed by women. Unfortunately,
I'd love to see a medical student go on a show. We've had it before. We've had that and nursing. We've had that and veterinary.
According to the federal survey data he collated, the average labor force dropout spent an equal amount of time on household care as the average employed woman, and 5 minutes less per day than the average unemployed man, who would theoretically be spending at least some of their time looking for a new job.
Yeah, just come on. That should be your full-time job if you don't have a job, is curating your resumes and heavily applying as much as absolutely possible. How are you going to handle that new mayor in NYC? I know that's kind of the one thing, hoping for a miracle there. You know, I will say, as far as blind statements, I don't like extremists. You know, I am nuanced when it comes to politics. I don't really go left, right. I don't really do that. But I don't like extremists. If it was extremists on the other side, I wouldn't like it either. So, not thrilled about that one.
What they were spending their time on was leisure activities and sleeping. The average person who had dropped out of the labor force was also far less likely to have children or a partner, and Eberstadt theorized that there were 2 reasons for this. The first reason was that children, dating, and a family life are expensive commitments that people trying to get by without a job just simply wouldn't be able to afford.
Sure, but people are also just bad at dating, you know? People are just bad at dating. Bad at fucking... They're not making kids.
The second reason was that people with a family to support were inherently more motivated to go out and provide, even if it meant working a job that a single person wouldn't. Of course, this is a large sample size, and there are plenty of people with children who don't work and plenty of...
And why is it going to be Gotham in 5 years? Well, I'm hoping they do kind of what San Francisco did, right? Where they were like, oh, okay, performative extremism, sure, let's give it a try. Oh, shit, it didn't work? This is what they did with their DA. in San Francisco, they immediately got rid of them and then put in a centrist, you know? So, and now the centrist is cleaning the shit back up again.
Couples totally outside of the labor force as well.
Extremism is just bad because it's so performative to their constituents, to their base. I hate extremism. It fucking sucks, man.
But even without these typical responsibilities, daily life is still very expensive.
Sure, it always will be, always has been.
For people out of work typically only extend to those people who are either actively seeking work or cannot work because of an illness or disability.
And when when the small percentage of people that actually have this and it's real and legit and can be proven and they're not coached on it, I want to support them as a society, for sure.
The exact makeup of these assistance programs varies state to state. And of course, outside of America, different countries have different levels of social welfare. But America is where this trend has been most pronounced, and it's also where a bulk of the research on this trend has been done. So as anybody who has ever tried to apply for government welfare in America will tell you, the burden of proof to qualify for these payments can be exceptionally high.
Sure. And it's fair if you're just going to get unlimited money forever. I mean, obviously that's an over-exaggeration. I think it's fair to be at least a little bit sus, because obviously there's such an incentive to, if you don't want to do anything, you just want to goon all day, which sounds fantastic, by the way. No shit, you'll at least try to say, hey, can I have this forever, please? Like, yeah, let's be a little sus. But then obviously if they clearly qualify, let's make sure we're supporting.
With the only real exception being COVID-era stimulus, where arguably the burden of proof for payments was too low. Saying you need unemployment payments because you would prefer to stay at home all day vaping and playing Fortnite isn't going to fly with Uncle Sam.
It's not.
Whatever.
It shouldn't. It flies in the United Kingdom, though. Get a council house for borderline anything, and then your generational council house is absolutely wild.
Stat did find, though, was that it had become much easier for people to qualify for disability payments, which in most circumstances do not require recipients to be actively looking for work to maintain their payments. In his own book, he highlights how difficult it was to find consistent data on all of the government programs that might be available.
Ooh, interesting. I'd like to read that. Interesting.
To these people. And of course, needlessly pointing the finger at assistance to some of society's most vulnerable people is not the point here.
Obviously. Yeah, obviously that person should be supported. He looks broken. Let's support him as a society. I'm down with that. But for other people that clearly don't, why are we just endlessly supporting? You know, what are we doing here?
What is, though, is that according to data from the Department of Social Security, annual disability insurance payments have outpaced all other major programs. They provide the data as a table, but here is a nice visual line chart. Dr. Dwight R. Lee, an economist, also proposed that a major element that Eberstadt overlooked was that a lot of these men were working. They were just doing it in the underground.
Sound with the video till that based Fortnite.
Economy, which was estimated to be contributing about $2 trillion, or about 12% of US GDP. This could include these people doing anything from working informal cash jobs to skirt tax.
As someone who used to work at GameStop, I had a handful of regulars who got disability without actually needing it. And, well, I got to know them very well since I was stuck behind the counter. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that happens with every system. Every system that is meant to support will have people that attempt to abuse.
And minimum wage laws to outright illegal operations like shoplifting or selling drugs. So the work of these researchers paints an image of this growing group of individuals mooching off friends, family, and the government, while wasting their days away playing video games or being an overall burden on society. It's not exactly flattering, but to be fair, there are certainly people living these lives, and with nationwide or even global demographic trends like this, broad strokes need to be made. The researchers studying this trend are actually highly sympathetic to the situation of these people, and they seem motivated to actually fix the cause of these problems. I will, of course, be leaving a link to the full book in the video description if you want to read it yourself, as well as some great interviews these men have done that lets them articulate their grim feelings in a way that's a bit more human. The reality is that I can personally...
I feel like we didn't get a good answer, though, so far. Is it going to come in the last couple of minutes? Because I don't know. Do you recommend that people get into the trade? Sure. I would just investigate which trades are a little more in the demand, a little more AI resistant, and haven't been overly flooded. Because, you know, we've been preaching trades for a while now. My concern is that some of the highest earning ones, potentially, and I don't have statistics on this, so I'm not like saying it as a fact. I'm just slightly concerned, just like we had with engineering and stuff in college, that there was a bit of a gold rush. So just make sure that it isn't going to be an oversaturated job market. But absolutely, take a look into anything for sure.
See if just a few things went differently in my own life, I could have easily fallen into the same comfortable trap. Most of you watching could have too, whether you realize it or not. But this still doesn't answer the most important question. Why is this becoming more common? Most people, if given the choice, would prefer a nice stable job with an income that could provide a standard of living beyond basic survival. But yet,
what? Crazy.
More and more people are dropping out of even trying to look for a job every single year.
And we better not support them if that's the case, if they're not getting training or education.
There is unfortunately no single answer as to why people are giving up, but there are some contributing factors. Firstly, competition for good, prestigious jobs have become far more fierce, while pay for
Sure, does that mean you give up? That's not how I operate, at least. I don't know.
Basic jobs has not kept up with living costs.
Okay. Well, yeah, if we're going to do average home value, absolutely, for sure. But does that mean give up? Like, what is that the solution there? What does that result in? I don't know.
Technology has made it much easier to isolate oneself from the rest of the world, and there are other broader social issues like the opioid
I think that's more true than anything.
Epidemic that at the very least have not helped this trend. One of the most damaging factors has been the insidious myth of the skills shortage, which has led to an economy where millions of people don't have a job, but there are millions of jobs that don't have people to fill them. I am going to be
It's not always easy to hire the right person. Listen, we've had job positions open where it's taken a lot of time to find the right person.
Writing an article about how the idea of a skills shortage has been used to undermine the traditional career path of millions of Americans over on my free email newsletter linked in the video description. Something like the rise and fall of the
good stuff. Listen, yeah, I mean, honestly, don't give up is just the first thing is I would say, just don't give up. Like, if you give up, what is it? There's no hope in the end. Is it just a myth? Maybe, I don't know, but 10 million people are sitting on the sidelines. But like he said, some of it is retirees, some don't have to work, some are disabled, some are stay-at-home parents. So, how many are just not doing anything but need to? I don't know. Hey, Caleb Hammer stream fans, make sure you get your financial score for free. Take the assessment at calebhammer.com or dollarwise.com. It's free. See where you stand in the world of finances.